just jump straight into the intro. Welcome to GameBusters. It's a bit different this week because usually Nirav's the host, but he's away this weekend, so you're stuck with me. I'm Ree, but as usual, we're going to be diving into a game or franchise we love or just maybe want to talk about. This week, I've got Axel, the editor of GameLuster.
Howdy.
And I've got Luke, who was at GameLuster, but then got a promotion to real life. So hi, Luke.
Hello.
Is that really a promotion, though?
But yeah, Luke used to be on a few episodes, and then he, I guess, got a life.
Not really
and
a
how we
life,
dragged him
more
back.
trying to just focus on stuff which I couldn't do. Because coursework, turns out doing a computing degree is very difficult.
There you go. I've got to say, I do not envy anyone who's having to do like any coursework right now. It, like, especially remotely, it just sounds like absolute hell.
It is.
So normally for our opening segment, we've started doing a dungeon crawler game that Nirav has. I don't have that game though. It's like this card game. It's really cool and really neat, but you know, this is a chill episode. So I just thought I'd open it up with asking you guys what you've been playing this week. So Axel, what have you been playing?
I've been going through a lot of stuff recently. I got my PS5 a little while ago. Yeah. Yay, stimulus money. I've been going through Returnal and the remaster of Demon Souls. Returnal it's wonderfully frustrating as hell.
That sounds like a roguelike in general.
Yeah.
It is. My only real objection to it is the fact that if you quit the game, it's basically the same as starting a whole new cycle. And I think
I've heard
that's just an annoying design decision. I cannot understand why they didn't just at the very least give you a save spot that says, okay, especially inside the ship, just decide to go, okay, I'm going to crawl into the wreckage of my ship, I'm going to lay down, this will save my progress, and I can quit safely on this iteration. But,
yeah, I mean, I don't see why there can't be an exit save, really. It still keeps that insane difficulty, because if you die, you're going back, you can't go back to a previous save, but it also means that, if real life gets in the way, you can put it down for a bit. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the big problems with this with this console generation, and probably with the one before it, the notion of, oh yeah, everything has to be online, everything has to be connected, you don't have a life, you're a gamer.
Exactly. Oh god. Luke, what have you been playing recently?
So I've been playing the big one. I finished Resident Evil 8 last night. Because...
Oh, really?
Well, quite simply, I just
quick.
love Resident Evil, so I've played it obsessively in the hours I've had. Finished it last night. Played a few rounds of Mercenaries this morning just to poke around, and I'm going to maybe go back and try and beat that on harder difficulty at some point. Otherwise, I'm giving Nier Automata another swing, because I've had it sitting on my PlayStation for ages, and I was like, I need to play this thing because I hear it's amazing. And
yeah, I meant to play that for so long.
I need to pick it back up myself. I was slacking. I suck.
And otherwise, a lot of my friends have suddenly started getting into Apex Legends, so I'm going to play a few rounds of that here and there. But, Nier's probably my thing at the moment.
Evil Village, with Resident Evil, how is that compared to the other ones? Because I've heard a lot of people complain that it's not as scary, but that sounds like perfect for me.
Like, it's still a good game, but I think I like 7 more. 7 was, I think, hit a really good spot between being scary and still having action elements to it. And then, like, obviously, it's nothing on the 2 remake, which is just incredible as a game. But I did enjoy it. It's got some really...
So scary.
There's a whole, like, psychological centric chapter that gave off some massive Silent Hill vibes that I absolutely loved. But the rest of that game's kind of... It's kind of scary, but it's also a bit too action heavy, so it's not as scary as 7 gets. Like, 7's first half is some of the, like, not just scary, but like some of the best stuff I've ever seen in a Resident Evil game. I think it's like just genuinely so much fun while also being terrifying at the same time.
Oh god, yeah, it looks. I couldn't even play it, but like with Resident Evil 8, I think I will probably pick that up just because this time you have a lot more options. I think.
Yeah.
Not as confined from what I've seen anyway.
Like eight definitely ramps up the violence that 7 kind of toyed with, but also it's not as scary at the same time. It's just a bit more gratuitous,
Yeah.
I guess. But no, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's as good as 7, which is a fantastic game.
But to completely change the subject, I've been playing new Pokemon Snap.
Nice.
There was no healthy way to transition into that, but yeah. But I played it because that was our last week's episode with Pokemon Snap, and I just completely fell in love with hearing about it. And I was on the side of how can a game with one game mode be interesting for that long, but somehow it really is. It's so repetitive, but just it doesn't feel it. It every time you feel like you've just got something different, and I bloody love it. I really recommend it.
I really enjoyed messing with the photo editor in that game. I was streaming it to some friends one night,
absolutely.
and I got a picture of a Tangrowth, and my friend, she hated it. So I was like, I'll see if I can make it better in the photo editor, and I just made it worse. I put like a cartoonish smile on it. I put effects around it. I mean, I said I was going to make it better. I very deliberately was just trying to make it worse, and it turned out really well.
I just realized the other game I'm playing. There's just no consistency right now. I got Mortal Kombat 11 from my brother.
Nice.
So I've been playing
It's a good
that.
game.
So I have been. It is really good. I've been splitting my time between Pokemon Snap and Mortal Kombat 11. It's been a week.
Two completely
It's been a
tonally
wild
different
week.
games.
But I love 11. I used to love Mortal Kombat as a kid, and I just for some reason never got back into the franchise after the 3D era, and I'm back into it now. I'm loving it.
My only complaint about 11 is that Ronda Rousey does a shit job with Sonya Blade.
Oh, her acting
Fucking
is
terrible.
terrible. Oh, she can't act to save her. I mean, maybe she can in wrestling. I don't wanna just like tarnish this.
She was a decent wrestler,
don't let her
but
voice
in
act.
MK11 she's fucking terrible.
I mean, it probably isn't even completely her fault. She hasn't got experience in voice acting, I'm guessing. She needed direction, and she clearly didn't get it. Just that she was a terrible Sonya, and I'm just mad that, they basically like redesigned the character around her, and that was just a really poor decision, I think.
Also, she's like a mad conspiracy theory, not in real life.
She is, isn't she?
I know she thinks she's a Sandy Hook truther, I believe, among many of the
I have
horrible
heard
things
that.
she believes.
Yeah, she's not great. So I don't even know why they got her in the game, but she's there.
Because she was the only female UFC fighter at the time that had any name recognition or cachet.
That's probably a good point. And also it meant that they could have her dress up as Sonya and go to WWE, and yeah,
it was
God.
It was probably easier from the motion capture perspective, but hell from the voice acting perspective.
It's really bad.
It was definitely hellish in my ears listening to her talk.
Oh god. Okay. Well, somehow I have to transition to talking about our game today. There is no natural way to do it, but we're talking about.
No,
there we go. Okay.
It's a hellish experience.
There we go. Good
There
point,
you go.
actually. And it has celebrity cameos. Although this time I don't want to hate on the celebrities. I feel like they were just wasted in this. We're talking about the wonderful and much adored Mass Effect Andromeda this week. In the run-up to the good Mass Effect game, well, hopefully good Mass Effect game coming out, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. How do we even begin with this? I think we'll just open with our experience on the game. So I've actually completed it. I believe both of you abandoned it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't even remember how
Out
much
of interest.
I actually played.
Yeah. I was about to ask how far did you guys get?
I think I got fairly far. I believe I had unlocked most, if not all, the planets. I was going back through, or I'd made return visits to some of the planets, seeing some of the colony setups, and it's like, oh god.
In all their samey glory.
Well, worse, just... I think the thing that really bothered the hell out of me was
The Sudoku puzzles.
that it was... The Sudoku puzzles were bad, but it was being told, oh, hey, there's this vista, this wonderful wide horizon that you can look towards, but you can't drive to because then your vehicle will die in a fiery crash.
it's so insanely obvious that they intend to do more of the planets. I mean, there's only like 6 of them for Christ's sake, and it feels like there should be more and just more to do on them.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to touch on why that is, though. There's a reason for that. Researching this game's development has been a wild ride from start to finish. So, I guess to start at the beginning, we have to start in 2012, the release of Mass Effect 3. Again, divisive. I wouldn't say as divisive as in Andromeda. I guess Andromeda
wasn't divisive. Everyone agreed it sucked.
Yeah. That's the polite way to say it. I think I've done a full day at work, like, writing about games, so I've been like taking this game shit and everyone hates it to the game drew some controversy.
Don't censor yourself. Be honest with yourself, if nothing else. Exactly.
So yeah, in reality, I guess the Mass Effect 3 ending was, I guess you could call it divisive, but the Andromeda, like, everyone just hated it. But fan feeling about the ending of 3 was pretty negative. A lot of people felt like their choices didn't matter. So really, it was the perfect opportunity for BioWare to do what they did in the early stages of Andromeda, and decide to completely start over. New protagonist, new team working on it, new galaxy. Really, they just didn't want anything from the original trilogy to hold them back. So, yeah, like I said, they got a new team. They got BioWare Montreal to work on the new Mass Effect, who had previously worked on the DLC, including the Citadel DLC, which was something that I remember the fan base actually liking from Mass Effect 3, if I remember correctly. And then, yeah, the next Mass Effect was always intended to be a new trilogy, like 1, 2, and 3. But minimal work was done mapping out what the 2 games after Andromeda would be. They wanted to have the maximum creative freedom for the first entry. With the new trilogy, obviously the new character, we now play as Ryder, who's a Pathfinder. But they also got rid of some series staples like the Paragon and Renegade system, and this was when I remember some fans were like, "Hey, what's going on here?" Out of interest, what did you guys think about getting rid of Paragon and Renegade? Do you think that was one of the problems, or?
I didn't really think about it too much because I always thought in Mass Effect Paragon and Renegade was too straightforward anyway. So it was like, as long as I still had the freedom to be either a good person or an asshole, then I didn't care too much. As long as I had like a varied choice of responses to situations.
Yeah, the Renegade and the Paragon system, you had wildly different results. You were either really, really nice, really, really inspiring, or you were just a bastard.
Punch a reporter in the face 3 straight games.
No, but being fair, the reporter was kind of begging for it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was really felt bad about that one.
It's really hard to feel bad about somebody that's just deliberately picking a fight with basically a space commando.
Yeah, not a smart decision, really. I've pretty much felt the same. I was like, I think Paragon and Renegade was sort of innovative at the time in 2007, but I think by the time of Mass Effect 3, it sort of run its course. We kind of wanted more than just be good, be bad, especially when be bad could either be stand up for yourself, be assertive, or push someone out a window. There wasn't really any consistency with what Renegade meant. So I was sort of looking forward to that. But anyway, to sort of continue the story development, this is when any sort of coherency ends with what they wanted the sequel to be. The only other thing the team knew they wanted to bring back was to make it open world, but couldn't exactly agree on how they were going to do this. Many want to return to an abandoned idea from the original trilogy, which would involve being able to land on any planet that you saw on the star map. To accomplish this in the sequel, they plan to have to procedurally generate hundreds of planets, and this is pre-No Man's Sky we're talking about. And they've really tried for a while to get this technology to work, but they just couldn't in the end. So in the end, they decided, okay, we can't procedurally generate them. We're gonna have to create them.
Handcraft them.
handcraft them. But because they'd wasted so much time on this, it was they planned to have all these planets, and then they just kept scaling back and scaling back and scaling back until in the end we only got 6 that we were actually able to explore. And as we already discussed, they were pretty basic. I guess that we sort of already talked about the planets. Is there anything that, you know, stands out to you from them?
Not really.
There really wasn't. I think that was the big sin, was that visually they were all distinctive. You know, they didn't look like each other, but at the same time, there wasn't anything that made them stand out.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have the kind of, you know, the kind of really great stuff of like Vermeer or Ilos from the earlier games. You didn't have that feeling of, wow, this is an environment in and of itself.
That's a really good point, because it's been ages since I played the first Mass Effect, and I can still remember Ilos, I can still remember Vermeer, especially Vermeer for obvious reasons. And with Andromeda, I've played that more recently, and I can't name a single planet from it. I can remember there's the one with that guy Reyes on, and I thought that planet was semi-cool because you actually had something to do in the settlement. There were some cool quests. But it really wasn't good enough for a game that was touting itself as an open world to have one vaguely interesting settlement. I remember I think it was called Kadir something, and you could influence who took control of the settlement. And that's really kind of what you expect in an open world game, is sort of like little settlements like that, but like every planet had like 1 or 2. And in most of them, you couldn't actually influence them at all. They just felt completely static. I guess, you know, to me, like, the whole idea of a Mass Effect open world, it sounds good if they put stuff in it, but, you know, is there anything you guys would want to see in an open world Mass Effect game if they tried it again?
Not really. I prefer they stick to the older structure of having like 1 or 2 sort of hubs for quests and buying stuff and whatnot, and then that way they can focus on creating more intricate levels. Like, that to me is why I think 2 especially stands out so much, because they just made the Citadel and the other one that's name is escaping me, where you find Liara. So like they made those, they were nice and detailed, and in that way they could just focus on making really good levels for the major quests. It's just a me thing that I think Andromeda was the game that made me realise I'm getting bored of open world games.
Yeah, it was like the peak moment for like open world burnout, I think, where it was just like, it was the pinnacle of, this is open world for the sake of being open world.
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
And then
anyway.
I followed that up with playing like other janky Ubisoft open world crap, and I think just my interest in open world games was almost completely killed until I started playing Yakuza and fell in love with that.
I don't necessarily mind open worlds when they're actually open worlds. You know, when there is a sense of actual freedom and the idea of, okay, I'm supposed to be discovering things. I am finding out secrets. I am learning new stuff. I'm getting familiar with environments. I love that. You know, I mean, that's what's got me putting so many hours into No Man's Sky. Even when, you know, it changes things up and, you know, mutates into the game that it should have been at launch. But Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't an open world. It was trying to say, hey, I'm an open world. I'm just like Dragon Age Inquisition. Oh, wait. That wasn't really an open world, was it?
No. It was, I just played Inquisition as well, and I was not happy with that open world. And but this made me appreciate it a whole lot more, because at least there was something to do there. At least there was stuff in it, you know? It felt so tonally confused, and I guess it's because they had tried for so long to get the No Man's Sky approach working. And it's interesting you say that, like, you can play No Man's Sky now and have a fun time. I don't think anyone could say that about Andromeda, and they completely dropped that like as soon as the fan feedback came back, they just completely ditched Andromeda, whereas with No Man's Sky they kept at it and kept at it. I mean, I wonder if like Andromeda could have ever been good if they maybe stuck to it a bit longer and did the DLC they planned.
No, I don't think it could have been.
Really?
I think the problems of that game go far beyond just the nature of its content. Like, the one thing that bugged the hell out of me that I really, really hated was not being able to command teammates and tell them to use abilities.
That was so weird.
I think that was such an integral part of the combat, being able to tell a teammate to, like, lift someone. I was like, if you wanted to time stuff and get biotic combos or whatnot. So when I realised that wasn't a thing, I was like, what the hell? It's literally one of the most important aspects of combat, and now you've just took it out for no reason.
I know, that was,
I was never really big, or I very rarely used teammate abilities, but I did like that teammates could use those abilities themselves, and it was, there was a management aspect I didn't much care for. But yeah, having the teammates along just in Andromeda was like, you're here, why exactly? Comic relief, something to keep me from going mad while I'm slowly exploring this strange new universe. And it's like, I think the big problem there was that the companions themselves weren't terribly engaging.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that actually. I think at the end it might be fun if we play a game to see if we can try and name them, because
I've already
my boyfriend
lost.
and I did that about a month ago.
I can maybe remember one of them, their name, and that's it.
Yeah.
I can remember faces. I can't remember names at all. It's like your generic sidekick number 4, I think.
I remember the female who was supposed to take over as the Pathfinder, and that's it. And even then, I only remember her first name.
And like, she's only memorable because she never shuts up about being like an Asari commando or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can remember. It's just her.
Oh wait, no, I can
time
remember the
again
name of
remind me
the
that.
Asari squad mate, I guess, as well, and that's it.
You know what? Let's do this now. Okay, so from the ones I can remember, I've got Korra, the human, PB the Asari.
Yeah, that's the only 2 I can remember.
Okay, that's thank you for jogging my memory.
Who else was there?
I can't even remember what Ryder's dad's name is.
Ryder Senior.
Ryder Senior. That works.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
God, who else was there? There was the female Turian. I thought she was cool, but that was about it.
There was.
I remember the ship's pilot was oh God, I can't remember so much. He was a Solarian, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he started talking, I was just like, man, you're just a shitty version of Joker, huh?
Yeah. Oh God, that was so obvious. I really can't remember the Scottish lady's name, so let's just brush past her. She doesn't count as a companion anyway.
Doesn't Natalie Dormer have a role? She's like the ship's doctor.
She is.
But again, I can't remember the
name.
And like, there was a few other names, like what's his name, Kumali Nanjiani. He voices like one of the ship leaders, I think.
You literally could have made that up, and I'm.
He voices like like one of the sort of like. Because wasn't it like all the different ships were comprised of a specific race?
Yeah,
I think he was like the sort of head Solarian.
God,
but
there's Liam. Liam was the human guy.
Yeah.
I think, and there's a Krogan, and I don't know what he was called.
Meat Shield.
Yeah, Meat Shield. God, it's not Grunt, is it? That's the good
that's
one
Mass Effect 2.
From Mass Effect 2. Yeah.
Yeah. And 3.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank for literally everyone else. I couldn't even remember.
And this should be shocking and disappointing as hell for any BioWare fan, because we can remember the names of the characters from the original Mass Effect trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, easily. And I've played that less recently.
But none of these guys are memorable enough.
they feel like character archetypes just really. I mean, I think PD, PB, whatever she's called, was just the worst. She was just like they really thought that everyone was gonna love her, I think, because she had like the longest romance in the game. But I never did it. I just saw it on YouTube out of curiosity.
Yeah, I couldn't even bring myself to do any of the romance stuff in Andromeda.
I didn't play it long enough to do the romance stuff.
I wasn't even sure there was romance stuff.
That's very telling. I romanced one of the side characters called Reyes, who isn't even like a crewmate, and you get like one scene, and that's it for the entire game. Whereas if you get with the Asari, you get like a really long and awkward sex scene, and I don't know why they bothered, because I don't think anyone's gonna watch that. And with everyone else, it seems the same. It's like it's either like ridiculously long, or like they kiss and it's a fade black, and that's it.
Yeah.
It really shows, like, in every aspect of this game. They just did not have enough time. And it's bad that we could remember like 2.5 characters between us.
It's sad.
Yeah. But I suppose one thing which I do see people praise, and I can remember having a little bit of fun with it, but I don't think as much fun as everyone else, was the combat. It was radically different from the previous trilogy, whereas that was more of like a third-person shooter. This time, they wanted to make something that fit the open world and encouraging us to fly about and test out new abilities, and there was like a huge emphasis on changing like the powers that you had all the time. And I remember that being fun for a bit. It was kind of ruined by the lack of enemy variety, I thought, and the fact that the open world was boring. But it was, I think they pulled it off fairly okay. Do you guys have any good memories of the combat system?
No.
I remember the only thing I can vaguely remember was like jumping in the air and then using the Vanguard like spike spear throw ability.
Yeah.
That was cool, and like maybe that's the only thing I enjoyed about Andromeda.
I hated the combat on Andromeda.
Oh, really?
It was awful. It's like I understand that there's that you're going around, that there's supposed to be almost an RNG that says, okay, yes, you've missed, yes, you've hit. And it was, but this, for Andromeda, it didn't work. I don't know what it was about combat. It just felt dull. And that's the same problem I had with Inquisition. The combat felt dull. It's like, how do you do that?
And I've got to say, like, I feel like BioWare's a bit too harsh in its older games and its combat, because I've been replaying Dragon Age Origins recently, and I bloody love the combat in that. I know it's not for everyone, but, I feel like I can try out different builds and everything, and it feels quite fresh every time, whereas when I did try and play Andromeda again, it was fun for a bit, but it gets samey quite quickly. The only saving grace is that you can change your character build just like that. You can like go to this place in the ship and redistribute all your points, and I guess that was just sort of an attempt to keep everyone on board and keep playing. So that's kind of cool. That's what I see people point to anyway when they say that everyone was too harsh on this game. But I don't really think people were too harsh, has to be said.
I wouldn't say I hate the game. I just think the game so profoundly bored me that I forgot about it very quickly.
I think that's worse, if anything.
Yeah.
Just the fact that a BioWare game is completely not memorable after delivering some of the most iconic characters in gaming history.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that I hate the game. I was one of those guys that was upset about Mass Effect 3 and the way it ended, but when Andromeda came out, I was kind of hoping, okay, maybe they can redeem themselves, maybe they can make something new from this, and it's like, no, we're actually going to disappoint you further.
I'd argue they did make something new, it just wasn't good.
Yeah, they found new ways to
they found new ways to irritate us. It's like,
oh yeah. See, I'm like from a different angle. I didn't actually mind the ending to Mass Effect 3. I was disappointed, but I was playing it in hindsight. I played the whole trilogy for the first time in 2015, so I don't think it like hit me as hard. And also I kind of always liked bad BioWare. Like I played Dragon Age 2, and I still have like a special place in my heart for Dragon Age 2, even though it is the weakest.
I played that
game
game for the first time last year, and I actually enjoyed it a lot.
That's the thing, yeah. It's a fun old game. It has a lot going for it, and I will defend that ugly
Whereas
child.
when I started
to
Inquisition,
death.
I got bored after the first like 2 or 3 hours.
Yes, a fellow intellectual. Thank you. I see. So like everyone loves Inquisition, and I'm not going to take that away from them. But I just it's not for me.
I think the thing I realised was like,
completed
oh, they've done the exact same thing they did with Mass Effect Andromeda's level design, and that bored me in seconds. And then when I realised it's like,
Exactly.
oh, they took healing out entirely, and you have to use some weird damage mitigation bullshit. I was like, what the fuck were they thinking with this game? Like, I just
I
don't
think the
get any
power
of
system
this.
was the thing that turned me off. Like the power system of not even being able to like steamroll through the main story if all the side content is boring you. And I eventually did power through and get to the DLC, and it really just it wasn't worth it.
I think I just
So
read the
really
I think I
recommend-
just read the Wikipedia article for it, and I was like, I'm definitely not going to finish this game. I don't really want to play it much longer.
Yeah, well, you ready for Dragon Age 4?
Maybe.
If BioWare can dig itself out this hole.
I don't think they will.
No, I feel like they are at last chance saloon with EA. Ugh.
Yeah.
I think that brings us nicely into the next point about how, like most BioWare horror stories, a lot of problems were caused by having to use the Frostbite Engine, which is a
terrible
character in the
engine.
show. I see.
No,
Like,
it is a good engine that is badly misused.
it is.
it-
Why do they use it for RPGs? I'll never understand. It just doesn't
Why do they
work.
use it for anything but
Because-
Battlefield? It was literally an engine designed to power Battlefield and nothing else.
Because let's see, it wasn't Andrew Wilson, it wasn't Richatello, it was the guy between them, Peter Moore. It was Peter Moore who said, okay, we just bought DICE, we're going to make Frostbite the standard engine across all of our projects. Everything will use Frostbite except Madden. It'll use its own thing, but everything Frostbite.
And I'm guessing there was not a single game developer in the room at that point, because the fact that
No,
just BioWare is the RPG studio, and they gave them this engine which wasn't made for making RPGs. With Inquisition, they had to build so much from scratch just to get it to run on that engine. And that's kind of sped up Andromeda's development, at least, because they could borrow a lot from Inquisition. But at the end of the day, they're just using an engine which isn't made for what they're doing.
yeah, it's like trying to use a chainsaw when you need a ratchet wrench.
Exactly. And I haven't got the exact quote up, but there was a quote from a developer speaking, I think it was Jason Schreier, about this, saying that with using Frostbite Engine and making Mass Effect, it was like you'd fix one problem, and when you had your back turned, there's like 5 more leaks, you know? It's just, you can't keep up with all the problems that it presents, because you're making it do something it doesn't want to do. And that's how the animations ended up looking so bad, for example, because they'd fix the animations on one scene, and while they'd been moving the game along and updating assets and whatnot, it had just completely ruined like 10 other scenes. And it was just way too much for them to keep up with. So
I think
yeah,
the quality of
Frostbite
Frostbite
Engine.
shows when considering Respawn's contributions, Titanfall, like Apex and Jedi Fallen Order were all made not on Frostbite. They're on different engines, and they've all done
Yeah.
well. Apex, I think you've done very well. Titanfall didn't do, even though it's fucking amazing and deserves success.
Hey,
Yeah.
Nirav's joined the call. You good there? Is he okay? Oh, okay.
He's lurking.
He's lurking. Okay. We have the ghost of Nirav on the show now. Anyway, So, Frostbite Engine, I feel like it probably won't be the last time we bring it up on the show, but
I saw that report about Anthem's development and how Frostbite was...
I do not like the Frostbite engine. You cannot use the same engine for soccer and also dragons.
I mean, you're expecting FIFA to have quality standards from FIFA fans. It doesn't. That shit's the same every year.
Just for the benefit of the listeners, Nirav has joined the call and he is yelling about Frostbite Engine just to keep in character, and I appreciate that. He's on the road. Okay. and he decided to join in and yell about EA.
The Unreal Engine is already made. Just fucking use it.
No, Unreal can do damn near everything.
Yeah.
But Frostbite, not even close.
I mean, Unreal powered Jedi Fallen Order, so...
I don't think you'll be able to hear my audio since I'm not recording on my end.
Probably not.
No, they can't hear you, so I'll translate for them. So, yeah, Nirav just dropped some insight, and he probably doesn't want me to share what that insight is, but I'm going to share it, and that is that... Oh, what was that?
I know the release date of Elden Ring. It's...
He's revealed the Elden Ring release date. He's not going to tell us because he hates us, and he's mad that he can't join in on this episode talking about Mass Effect Andromeda. We had it without him. We didn't invite him. I lied. But yeah, thanks for popping in now to
completely
yell
disrupt
about...
the flow of the podcast.
Yeah, and yell about EA.
And make this an absolute
while
nightmare
you're driving.
for the editor. He's going to have to try and translate what you're saying.
I'm going to find a way around this.
Just use a text-to-speech thing and fill in the gaps as best you can remember.
You know what the best
I'm
part
gonna
of
have
this
to
is,
just have
though?
like a really good memory and just remember what you said.
No, you don't. You can make up whatever you want at this point.
Shit.
And claim Nirav said it.
My name is Nirav, and I am a big poop fart face.
And I'll tell you right now, regardless of what you
cancelled.
say, me and Axel will back you up on whatever you put.
Hey, nice. Bye, Nirav.
Bye-bye.
Have fun driving. God damn it! It's because this is my one episode to edit.
It's his
he
baby.
was like,
He
I
can't.
must ruin it for her.
He has to be involved in some way.
You know, I'm just gonna send him the raw audio from this. I'll be like, there, you edit it. Have fun.
So this is your podcast. You're gonna do at least some work on it. God damn it.
You know what's funny is that this is kind of just like the development of Mass Effect Andromeda. Just sort of like someone popping in and be like, do this now. And we're like, okay, I guess we've got to somehow make this work.
Podcast imitates life.
I can't believe Nirav is just EA. Andrew Wilson. Oh god, okay. To try and get back on track. So we've got our Frostbite rant out the way. But there was another friend of the show that made a return, and that was Crunch. There was an awful lot of it with Mass Effect Andromeda. There's also been an awful lot of it with BioWare before, it just hadn't gone reported. So by this point, BioWare staff were already burnt out by Crunch on Inquisition. I think some staffers from that had moved to Montreal to work on Andromeda as well. And to make matters worse, staff kept getting pulled out from fires happening on Andromeda to go deal with the fires on Anthem, which was, I guess, meant to be the apology for Andromeda before Andromeda had even offended anyone.
Yeah, that was a game.
That was an apology. that was supposed to be an apology.
I think it was.
I think that was like the worst apology ever.
And
I can't think of something more awful.
I know.
Than Anthem.
But it's just,
and and it sucks because it's there's the potential for a good setting there.
there really is. I was quite excited for it when they first dropped some information. That quickly disappeared.
Yeah, it's like there was a comic strip in a guitar magazine years ago, which I've always taken to heart. Guys, there were two guys talking about one of them not showing up for band practice, and the guy is saying, or the other guy is saying, look, you need to show up for band practice, because if you don't show up for band practice, then you're not actually in a band. You're in an idea for a band, and nobody ever got laid for being in an idea for a band. And
is that
and
pretty much just this?
It is Dragon Age Inquisition. It is Mass Effect Andromeda. It is Anthem. They're ideas for a band.
No, that's a good point. Although in this case, it's like, I guess the developers really want to go to band practice, but then they had like 10 other bands. Like, no, you have to come and help us with our band practice, and
It's
they
like
didn't.
You're being a session player.
Yeah. And I my heart really just goes out to the people that worked on these games, because like researching it, you can tell that the writing team especially just wanted so much from Andromeda, but just kept getting held back by the deadlines, the fact that they were getting pulled onto other projects, the fact that they'd go, oh, it needs online, oh, it needs to use Frostbite. Just EA and also just like upper management of BioWare, from what I've heard, you know, just also just crunching the hell out of everyone. I think with Inquisition it was at its worst. They really like were enforcing over 80-hour weeks to get that released. But then the developers were like, there was a sense of pride after that. But then it was just pulled onto one fire.
Sense
pulled
of
onto
pride
the
and
next
accomplishment,
fire.
you say?
Pride and accomplishment, exactly. Our old friend is back. And just to make it worse, apparently there's this internal mindset in BioWare of it will, no matter how bad a game gets, it will be fixed with BioWare magic. And that basically means if the project's looking terrible, we'll chain you to your desks until it's good, and we'll call it magic. And it didn't work this time. I guess
Kelsa Breeze.
I guess this probably marks the time that it really didn't work. So, I mean, as much as we all don't like Inquisition, a whole bunch of people did. And I guess, like, the one thing you can say about it is that it doesn't feel rushed. You know, it was unless you played it on PS3. If you played it next gen, it felt like a very coherent, well put together game. It looked good. Whereas with Andromeda, it looked bad. It played bad. The animation was bad. Everything about it just had the mark of a really rushed game. And then Anthem came out, and the reception wasn't really much better, if worse, because everyone
Anthem came out, and Mass Effect Andromeda came out, and it was terrible. And then Anthem came out and said, "Hold my beer."
Oh, it's so sad. So yeah, BioWare Magic just didn't cut it. The animations were very quickly mocked online, people making compilations of the funniest ones. Eventually this was fixed with patches, but all that left were characters that no one really seemed to be taken in with, and a story that is, as we discovered, largely forgettable. To this day, I occasionally see the old op-ed floating around saying, hey, you guys are too harsh, Andromeda. But even then, they're not really, like, you know, pointing out anything overly kind about it. They're just like, yeah, you know, had a fun time. I like this character. But that's, you know, if you compare that to the legacy of the first Mass Effect trilogy, it's just night and day. That's a grim note to leave it on. But that's more or less the story of Andromeda. I guess with that in mind, we've got Legendary Edition coming out. But beyond that, what do you think's in store for BioWare?
I hope they fix that Anthem game they made. I think it looked cool.
That they've given up on that. It's dead.
Weren't they going to do a big, like, No Man's Sky-esque patch to it, and then
they were talking about it. They were saying, okay, we're thinking about Anthem next, and then they were teasing it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then they finally said, yeah, no, screw it.
I think EA pulled the plug on it. They were working on it, and then EA reviewed it and just went, nah, this isn't worth salvaging.
Yeah.
I guess it's a shame. It could have been another comeback story, but I guess there just wasn't the money in it for EA.
I bought a physical copy of Anthem from my local game where I now work, but a long time ago before I worked there, I saw them selling new copies of it for $10, and I just went, fuck it, let's go see what this thing is like, why not? I played the first mission, it glitched out, I couldn't finish it, and I haven't touched it since. And that must have been over like
bad.
a year ago.
Oh, that's really bad. Oh my
ago.
god.
Yeah, I played it earlier this year, and right before the whole next thing was supposed to be coming out, and it was improved. I actually did make it to the end of the storyline, but I was asking myself why. What was here that was worth still doing? What was here that was worth pursuing? It was terrible. There was no good setup, there was no through line, and oh god, the mechanics of trying to get into a mission was so hostile to the process. It's like do you want me to actually play this or not? And the even now the consensus seems to have been, yeah, no, we don't want you to play it. We just want you to experience it. What the hell are you talking about?
What does that mean?
Yeah, and it's disappointing because somewhere, much like Andromeda, much like Inquisition, Anthem had the potential for a good story in there, and it, they didn't show up to band practice.
Yeah, and it's... Well, I'm really quite worried about the future of BioWare games. Like, I'm letting myself get hyped for Dragon Age 4 because I never learned my lesson. But
Are you ready for years of trailers of nothing more than concept art?
Hey, I do love that. Hey, we got like one render of the elf dude. That's all we need.
And
just
then it'll be like
one frame of Solus, and that will keep you happy for a bit.
If the previous games are anything to follow by, you get years of trailers who just feature concept art and other stuff, and then 3 months before the game's out, they're like, oh yeah, we should actually show what the game looks like, and then you see what the game looks like, and you realise, what have these guys been doing for the past 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, with Dragon Age in particular, it's bad. I didn't mention it here, but there was actually a version. I think during Andromeda's development, I think I'm right in saying there was 2 different versions of Dragon Age 4 in development at some point. They started work on a single player version, and then so I think probably EA, I guess, were like, hey, no, you need to make it live servicey like Anthem, because Anthem's going to be really good, we promise.
Because everyone wants live service games. It's not like there's already enough of them on the market.
So they had to scrap the first Dragon Age 4 and make a new one, and then they scrapped that and was like, no Dragon Age, no one likes Dragon Age anymore, move on. And they're like, alright, maybe some people like it, so you can make another one now, and it's a bit of a complete mess. I'm guessing there's a lot of BioWare magic happening right now. So shout out to the team working on that. I hope you get to see your loved ones at some point. Maybe.
Sure they will,
Yeah, once the game's finally released.
Sacked. Well, once the game's released and after they've been sacked.
Yeah, he has a good point. Oh,
it's like, hi, we're shutting. Hi, you've released the last game BioWare will ever make. You're fired.
Yeah, that's another point. Like, I think BioWare is living on borrowed time. I think Mass Effect Legendary Edition, if that has to sell astronomically well, I think, for them to get in EA's good books again, because the way that'll
do it.
They think with money, and they look at the fact that FIFA pulls in loads, and then they'll look at the fact that these RPGs are very hit and miss in recent years. And even if they do good, they don't make FIFA money. Then they can't monetize them like FIFA. So I'm very worried that they just won't see the point. I mean, there's murmurings of a Mass Effect 5, whatever that will look like. I'm guessing.
No, they already showed it off. It's Mass Effect will continue. As the Game Awards revealed its subtitle.
That's the thing, it's like, I don't... what's it gonna look like? Are they gonna? I'm guessing they're completely abandoning, Andromeda
Yeah, I think
as a
it was
galaxy.
Liara in the trailer, I believe.
Yeah. So they're very much trying to like cash in on the good graces of fans. And
What good graces.
yeah, the all two of them, that are still there. So they're gonna need to come back to the century, and it's such a shame because I bloody love BioWare. I'm still very, very, very slowly making my way through Baldur's Gate, and I'm just loving it. It's like peak BioWare charm, and even then, like, I just have no desire to play Anthem, and I'm very scared about Dragon Age 4. It's just really sad what's happened to the company, and also just so many people that made up BioWare just aren't there anymore. So
I mean, I was thinking about that, but like, id Software bought Doom back, and I don't think anyone who worked on like the original Doom is at id Software nowadays. For whoever is at id Software have managed to turn it into like arguably the most popular Doom has ever been.
So
Yeah, no.
maybe
it's
maybe some fresh
possible.
talent will help.
They just need to put the right
Maybe.
people in charge, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't really keep up what happened at BioWare. Like, Casey Hudson left and then comes back and then leaves again. It's a revolving door, I swear. I can't keep track of... Like, and it's probably, it's like they just put out so many fires at once. It's like when they had the Inquisition, Andromeda, Anthem debacle, just moving people around, like, please, fix each other's work, please. Yeah.
Well, what would be a good first step to fixing all those problems?
Well, let's hear it.
Not using Frostbite.
Yeah. Phenomenal decision, please.
Jedi Fallen Order was on
like...
Unreal.
Just use Unreal Engine. Why aren't they?
Unreal works. I've never heard people moan about Unreal.
It by itself, Unreal works really well. If you've made a bad game with Unreal, it's because you've made a bad game. It's not because the engine sucks.
And also, I mean, they can actually spend time on the game rather than bug fixing 24/7. I mean, obviously, they have to spend a lot of time bug fixing anyway, but it's going to be even worse if they're sort of, while they fix one bug, 10 others spring up. It's just not sustainable, I think, to keep using Frostbite at this point. I don't know.
Outside of Battlefield.
Yeah. I have got good feelings about Legendary Edition, because I guess how can you fuck up something that you've already got quite good?
Don't know.
But
Well, I'm sure EA will find a way to...
Blizzard managed to fuck up that Warcraft remaster.
that
Yeah.
is a good point. Yeah, the Reforged, I forgot about that. But I guess this is pretty 1-to-1, I think, isn't it? They're just
Other
making
than
it
like
look a bit
making
pretty.
Mass Effect 1's gunplay better, because as much as I love Mass Effect 1, its gunplay is not very good. It's very frustrating and annoying.
That was a hard one to get into, definitely. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to like seeing the improved visuals and everything. And also all the DLC in one place. That's
like the
really
main
good.
draw for me, because I have all 3 games on PC, but the system for buying it was really complicated, so they just put out a bundle. They were like, here's a bundle, it's all the DLC, also it's 20 quid. I'm like, I already own some of it, can't you cut me a discount? It's like, no. Like, if you buy it on Steam now, it's just, you have to pay like 20 quid. Get all the DLC at once.
So you might as well just wait for the Legendary Edition at this point. And I've got good feelings about that. I think it'll probably sell really well because people like nostalgia. Yeah.
I feel like
and
it's weird to me that EA have been the most resistant about remasters, considering they have a lot of stuff I think people would actually want to see remastered.
Exactly.
And like, I think like it's been from the early days of like the one PS4 era, people were like talking about Mass Effect remasters and how cool that would be, and now they're actually doing it at the start of the PS4 and PS5 and Xbox Series X era. It's kind of amusing to me.
Now, I think part of it stems from their experiments to mine the back catalog and put stuff on mobile. I don't know if you remember the debacle behind the Dungeon Keeper mobile game.
How could I forget? The game that insulted you for not giving it your wallet. Oh, that was a wild ride.
I think they've also just like were very supportive of that Microsoft's backwards compatibility. Like, so as soon as Xbox started coming out with that, I think they just kind of gave them a blank pass and said, just do all of our games.
But I feel like this is a good decision. I feel like this is a real good chance for BioWare to sort of like, you know, hit the reset button. You know, they're gonna get a whole bunch of money from this. They're gonna get a lot of you know, praise from fans, and it'll put them in a good position to release new games because it won't be like, oh, they've just done Anthem, so why should I give them a chance?
I feel like it'll just be more like, remember when BioWare made good games?
Yeah, I guess to people like us, that's how it's gonna be.
Yeah, Sonny, I can remember when BioWare made a good game. Must have been back in 91, 92. You know, we carried turnips in our pockets, as was the fashion of the time.
we do just kind of sound like old cynical fucks, but I guess
that's because I am.
Yeah,
I am an old cynical folk.
I will fully admit that, like, I hate to be, because I see like so many BioWare fans are just like always like hyper positive and like, oh, even if you don't like Inquisition, you must find something you like about it. But it's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm a hateful old shit. I don't. I wish I could be more positive about it, but no, I can't. And the same with Andromeda. I tricked myself into thinking I enjoyed it after my first playthrough. After a week, I stopped pretending. And I was like, no, that's bad. And I haven't pre-ordered a single video game since. That was like my lesson. It was like, I'm not pre-ordering anymore. I'm not gonna, because I can remember at the time, like my brother was like, why are you pre-ordering it? It could suck. And I was like, well, it's Mass Effect, so even if it sucks, I'm still gonna like it because of the lore. And that ended up not being true. So I now have
don't worry,
no
I learned my pre-ordering lesson in an even harder way than you.
Oh no, let's hear it.
Aliens, Colonial Marines.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's a pretty harsh lesson.
So were you like really excited for it and everything?
Yeah, like, I remember I was at university at the time, and it was like I had a lecture that morning, and it was literally like sat in the lecture, being like, "Bro, I want to get this game. I want to go home and play this." And then I get home, my mate comes over, we hook up 2 controllers to play it, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this? This is nothing like the trailers made it look."
Oh god, no, it was criminal how they advertised that. I mean, quite literally criminal, I think, because it did, I think, break some consumer rules in the end about
the trailers that they put out for that game looked nothing like what the actual game was at. Even like there was a raw gameplay demo that is not in the original game.
It was genuinely, wasn't it like, I'm like vaguely remembering stuff I've heard about it, and it just, they knew it wasn't accurate at the time when they made that ad, and they did it anyway, because of course they did.
I remember, I think either last year or the year before, someone discovered that the reason that AI was so bad was due to a typo in the code.
It's so funny.
And it was actually just like a single letter in one of the words, I think.
Oh,
or something like that, but someone found it, fixed it, and the AI got a lot better. But that still doesn't salvage that game.
No, it doesn't. God, what a way to end our discussion on BioWare by comparing it to Alien Colonial Marines.
I mean, I'm not comparing
Yeah,
Aliens. No, God,
I
no.
mean.
Andromeda wasn't as bad as Colonial Marines. I'm just saying I learned I shouldn't pre-order in a much more hard way than you did.
Anthem might have been as bad as Colonial Marines.
Oh, really? That bad?
I'm not. When it first came out, yeah. At this point, it is more stable. It is functional to a point. It's still not a great game. It's still a lot of live service nonsense, and I am just elementally enraged.
I feel like the difference there, though, is that I don't think people were excited for Anthem. I think everyone kind of saw it for what it was. So it was just EA trying to get in on the sort of Destiny crowd.
Yeah.
Whereas Colonial Marines, people were interested in. And then it just came out that the game was a fucking mess and not very good afterwards.
I was interested in Anthem. I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to having something that was able to scratch that space fantasy itch, or at least not necessarily space fantasy, but certainly sci-fi fantasy. Something that was, getting the fantasy peanut butter into the sci-fi high-tech jelly or chocolate rather, and it was like, What did you do?
It could have been good, but I think, one, because of Andromeda, and two, just because I just thought that they just want to get in on the live service crowd. And it didn't work. Oh god, please BioWare, please. I guess it's not really up to you. Please EA, please occasionally let BioWare staff see their families. It might improve their performance. Who knows?
Here's a question. Sorry to do it. Here's a question. So say the next game sucks, BioWare shuts down. Who do you think they should give the Mass Effect IP to?
Oh.
Nobody.
I would say Obsidian now that they've got Microsoft money, but
yeah, that means it'd be Xbox exclusive, but
yeah,
it would be called Obsidian.
It's quite a different tone to Obsidian RPGs, but I still like Obsidian RPGs. So
I feel like after the Outer Worlds, Obsidian proved they're quite flexible in terms of tone and writing.
Definitely.
It felt compare New Vegas to Outer Worlds. They're like two tonally different games.
They had like a little bit of the same humor, but I think they definitely it was more, I guess, like camp with Outer Worlds, but
Outer Worlds
in a self-aware way.
Sort of cynical business humor really hard, and I did enjoy a lot of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, Outer Worlds, and I say this in a nice way, was my least favorite Obsidian game, and I still bloody loved it. That's how much I love. That's how much I trust Obsidian with a game. It's even when I think it's one of their weaker ones, I still think it's a very good game. So I would undoubtedly trust them. Any other companies that come to mind?
I don't know.
Firaxis. It's hard not to trust the guys that who come out consistently with the Civilization series.
Okay.
It's hard not to trust the guys who rebooted XCOM.
See, that when you said that had me thinking, what about a Mass Effect Tactics game?
Ooh.
That could be interesting. That might have...
I think if they can turn Gears into an XCOM style turn-based tactics game, surely somebody could do Mass Effect. I know that Firaxis didn't do Gears Tactics, but
yeah,
I feel like a Mass Effect Tactics game
could be really cool. It could be, couldn't it? Yeah. I mean, you got such a rich lore and world to dive into for it that I feel like it could work quite nicely.
It was that, and I always kind of wanted to see a Telltale Mass Effect game. Back when they were still making good games.
That would have been kind of cute, wouldn't it? Yeah, I can see that. I can see that working.
I don't know.
Back with Telltale of old.
Spin-offs. Stuff that explores different aspects of the Mass Effect universe besides what the main games do. Yeah. I feel like there's such a rich universe there. It surprises me that EA haven't tried to exploit it more.
That is a good point.
I for myself, I think I might have liked to have seen something kind of in the style of Homeworld. An RTS fleet action type game, seeing the different kinds of vessels engaging in large scale combat. Set it back during the First Contact War.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. I think definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, please, BioWare, if you're listening, I'm sorry you had to listen to us trash a lot of your games, but we love you, I think. I guess we'll just end the discussion there because I think we could talk about what BioWare should do for bloody ages. But yeah, thanks for listening to that, everyone. We will be back to our regularly scheduled programming next week. I'm guessing Nirav will return, and this time not on a 4-hour car journey where I have somehow got to edit around him yelling about what was it, Frogger and Frostbite and Bethesda. So just normal, I guess, Nirav inclusions there. If this is your first time here, please subscribe. If it's to us on YouTube, we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Is it called Apple Podcasts? I don't even use it. I don't know what the service is called. But however you're listening to us, yeah, you should check out our other episodes. We always dive into games that are at least a year old and just have a chill discussion about them, or not so chill if EA's involved. Please, leave comments telling us what you think about it, whether you think that we are all cynical and should go to a retirement home, or whether we're absolutely perfect and right. Please let us know. You guys got any plugs?
Not really. I'm just kind of trying to get coursework done and then maybe see where I go after that.
Hey, okay. Well.
Wait, one more thing. Mass Effect Battle Royale.
Oh God.
No.
I can like feel the offense coming from Axel right now.
Luke, Luke, why you make me gotta...
I mean, Square Enix are trying to make a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale, so...
No, God, no. I'm sorry, I
No.
can't
There's
support
also
this.
mobile only, as far as I know.
Just put them in Fortnite and call it a day, I mean.
Or not.
Axel, you got any plugs apart from no Mass Effect Battle Royale?
Yeah, no. We're going to be recording our final episode of Cyberpunk Red and Nephilim Echo next Thursday. Hopefully it'll be out a week or so after that. So this is going to be the series finale. If you've been following the previous episodes, great. If not, you've got plenty of time to binge the first four acts and get familiar with all the characters and all the cyberpunk shenanigans.
Yeah, with me, I now write stuff over at thegamer.com. I'm writing a whole bunch of maybe good takes about Mass Effect. Not so good recently. I did write a defense piece about how I really like Caden in yesterday. So maybe don't read that because I feel like most people disagree with that. But yeah, my work can be found there. You can find us on Twitter at GameBustersPod. You can find our personal Twitters on there if you want to hate us, I guess. And next week, yeah, like I said, Nirav will be back. Thank you for listening, everyone, and have a chill EA free week.
I do not like the Frostbite engine. You cannot use the same engine for soccer and also dragons.